Welcome in, Deseret News Rewind. Dusty Lidster, Dane Stewart, as always. Presented by Heinemann Associates and brought to you by the Utah Army National Guard.
Hey, that's right, Dusty. And, it's the beginning of the season, so the season's afresh. Everyone's thinking about teamwork. How do we build our team, build our culture? If you want to understand how to build a culture and a team, how to participate in a team, there's no better place to learn that than the Utah Army National Guard. Over 150 different career path options available. And Dusty, you can earn up to $20,000 in educational assistance, as well as $20,000 in signing bonuses available, depending on the career path chosen from the Utah Army National Guard. To learn more, visit nationalguard.com.
Well, and in life, we always need good teammates. We need good people on our side. And Justin Heidemann is one of the best teammates you can absolutely ask for. Go to Heidemann and Associates to learn more about how to take care of your family. You want to start a new business. Not only that, if you need to get your will and trust taken care of. What we've learned in the first 8 months of this year is that anything can happen. If something's going to happen, get your family taken care of. Heidemann Associates is there to handle all those needs for you with a will and living trust. And if you are a COVID-19 frontline worker, get a free will and trust. And then we got to bring on a new teammate as well to the Deseret News Rewind group, and that is Black Clover. So presented by Heinemann Associates, brought to you by the Utah National Guard, but outfitted by Black Clover.
Dusty, you're looking really sharp today. What are you donning there from Black Clover?
I got the pinwheel polo on. It's cut good.
I'm debuting the Vanguard myself, and I'm not going to lie, I love it. Hey, you know what else I love? Their hats. This is one of the best hats I've ever owned. They've got a full line of products for men and women. You can check it out online at blackcloverusa.com, or you can slip into their store just off 123rd South in Draper next to the water park.
Hope you enjoyed the top 25 videos. We talked about bringing you 5 teams to watch. Now, these aren't necessarily 26 through 30 for some of us, but actually neither one of us really went about it this way. We're going to give you 5 teams to look out for, and throughout the season during our videos, we'll be doing the Black Clover Looking Good feature. That segment, and I think that's kind of where we can go here. 5 teams we think could look good this year. They might not be the next 5, but they're 5 teams to keep your eye on.
Yeah, and for me, there's a lot of movement that occurred this year, and obviously with COVID and typical offseason coaching changes, and you look at some of the youngsters that played last year and some of the teams that I think set a real strong foundation for future years. Going to be interesting. Going to be a little fun, Dusty. I don't know which teams you have. You don't know which teams I have. Going to be interesting to see where we agree or probably where we disagree.
Okay, so let's just go this way. You're going to name one, and then I'll name one, okay? And then I'll name one, and then you'll name one. We're going to produce this right on.
Great.
All right, you go first.
All right, well, I'm going to start, Dusty, with a pair of Region 11 teams. And you kind of talked about these 2 teams in our 21 through 25 video, but I look at Green Canyon and at Ridgeline, and I think these 2 teams are going to be really, really tough. I couldn't pick one of them, and so I went with both of them. But you look at Ridgeline, look, they return a lot of offense. They had a losing season last year, but they returned so many guys off that squad. Cox, DeMooney, Simmons, and Cox at quarterback threw for 2,000 yards, Dusty, 14 touchdowns, had some interceptions last year. If he can take some of those out, I think this Ridgeline team is going to be really good. And then you look at a Green Canyon, and they return. Jacob London was a fantastic quarterback last year, 1,600 yards, 19 touchdowns, over 3,000 all-purpose yards. I think these 2 teams are going to be teams to keep an eye on. We talked about Skyview. I think they're the cream of that crop, but I don't think the gap is very big between Skyview and Green Canyon and Ridgeline this year.
It wouldn't be hey, let's name 5 if Dane Stewart doesn't do 7. I mean, it just would not be a video.
It's 6. 6.
All right, here's my we talk about going the way back machine. How about Skyline? We had the years where they, with Larson and catching all the passes and all that kind of stuff and touchdown Tommy and everything. But Bolingbroke come back through 19 touchdown passes last year, had a very good year. We really see Skyline. The East Bench schools, now they've dropped down out of the top classification. Also, we're seeing them rebuild a little bit and be able to get their footing and not having to deal with some of the schools that have the larger enrollment where they were 20 years ago and their parents went to those schools. And so now it's kind of coming back maybe a little bit here for Skyline. I'm not going to say they're going to contend for a 5A state championship, but certainly can contend and make some noise in Region 6.
Dusty, that's a great one. I actually had them on my list as well. But you look at guys like Manwaring coming back, Okurwa coming back. They were in some games late. I know they didn't pull them out. We did that playoff game against Murray. Dusty, they charged back in that game. They held a lead in that game. I know they lost it, but a lot of young talent. You talk about the foundation there. I completely agree. I think Skyline is going to surprise some people this year.
That'd be a lot of fun. All right, so you went first, now I go first. And I'm kind of going there because this team, we battled to be in the top 25, so maybe I am breaking a little more of the 20-60-30 thing, but either way, the Syracuse Titans, only because they graduated everybody we know, for heaven's sake. Everyone's gone that we've gone through. Ty Burke, for some reason, has been around for the last 7 years, and also we had our offensive player of the year there as well. But I really see what Syracuse has done. They could be much better than we expect in Region 1.
Coach Knight has done a great job. That's a great pick. Let me move on to a region that Dusty loves, but a team that never gets any Dusty love, and that's the Westlake Thunder. Look, here's my thing. I know they play in a tough region. I know they're probably going to take some lumps in region play, but you look at this team. They had a really talented player last year in Jet Vance. Probably should be on our all-name team. I love the name Jet. But you look at some of the guys that return. Oakley Slade, this young man, he's had a great summer, great hands, runs good routes. I expect him to have a big year on the outside for Westlake, be a real key option. You also have Ross at quarterback, Taumoe Penu. This Westlake team, they've got some pieces. And Coach Louis Wong, he's been there for a couple years. For me, it feels like it's just a matter of time until you get the wheels under that program. Could 2020 be the year? I don't think they're contending for a region championship, but I think this team will walk up and surprise you if you aren't ready for the Thunder.
Well, I think it's a good one. I actually thought about including him, but my Region 4 bias wouldn't allow me to do it. So I just didn't want to keep it all in Region 4 because I figure if I did it, that all I talk about is Region 4. But, 3 years ago, could you have gotten to me? I don't think so. But let's go. My pick, here's up on one. And it's one of my favorites, Coach Andrew Jones out in Tooele and the White Buffaloes. We don't talk about the White Buffaloes enough, but Cam Roll, they have a bunch of players out there, Garrett Overman and Bryson Borders, amongst others. This is year 2 for Coach Jones, a guy that been in small programs, and this is what he's done, and this is an opportunity for him to really continue to move Tooele in another step. Remember, it wasn't 5 years ago. They were up at Rice-Eccles Stadium with Coach Kyle Brady, and now they've got a chance to try to continue to build this program back up after Stansbury's kind of taking the thunder there in Tooele.
That's a great one. You're talking about a guy who's been there for a couple of years laying a foundation. Let me give you one that may be a bit off the radar, and this probably isn't going to land very well for Utah Jazz fans, but watch out for the Lakers of Bonneville High School. Samuels graduated. He was their quarterback. I think you're probably going to see Best come in. I think he's coming back. Had some PT last year at quarterback. Shaw is coming back, was a running back, receiver, Dixon as well. This was a team, Dusty, that was actually really good last year. They competed in a lot of ball games, came up on the short end of a number of games, but they returned some key guys. I think this could be a year for the Lakers, especially in a region where I think there's a bit of a gap between the top of that region and the middle of that region. I think the Lakers could surprise some people. They haven't won, or 6 games is the most games they've won. That's how many they won last year since 2009. 6 is the most wins in the season since 2009. I think they could eclipse that this year. I like the Lakers.
Do you want a surprise pick for 6A? I know I'm staying big boy ball and all, although that's why I threw in Tooele. Ready for this one?
Yeah.
Maybe you have it. Riverton. You know how many offensive starters come back for the Riverton Silver Wolves on a team that went to that hosted a state tournament game? 9. 9 starters coming back on offense for the Riverton Silver Wolves, and including Jackson Harder, the quarterback, Braden Woodruff, Josh Jacobson, amongst others. Coach Jody Morgan in his second year. I mean, this is going to be a really good, I think, really. I know they're there with Harriman, Bingham, but they gave all those guys scares a year ago for the most part. I think Riverton's going to be a team to deal with in 6A.
Interesting. Yeah, no, that's not a bad one at all. So I'm not saying that this team is even going to have a winning record this year. But there's a team out there that's lost 16 straight games, okay? And they have a really key transfer coming in. It's the second year of a coach who has built a program before from the depths. And again, I don't know that year 2 is going to be the time where you see the tides turning, but we like to send out feelers early. The Granger Lancers. Could this be the year where we get out and do a game at Granger? I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Palu Vaitu'u was on that Taylorsville staff that built Taylorsville into a winning program for a couple years. They have some running backs that are coming back. They've got a quarterback transfer in. If you remember our preseason last year, we talked about a youngster in Cadius Fuamayono. Guess where he's at this year? Granger High School. And Coach Vaitu'u is all about keeping the core there. If he does, this Granger team can get competitive in that region. I don't know that they're going to go and beat Kearns or beat Hunter, but this is a team that I think is laying a good foundation for the future. I think Granger, maybe not in 2020, but in the coming years, keep an eye on the red and blue of Granger High.
That's a good one. I knew you weren't talking about Carbon on that one because we won last year.
Yeah.
I'm stealing this one because I know it's on your list. Not a spite pick, but we're both going to say it anyway. And I think you know where I'm going. And I'm only doing it because their stadium's named after a Carbon dyno. And I wanted to say Gene Plaga Stadium. Coach Junior Sola V and the West High Panthers. We know year one was really good as far as moving this program in the right direction. Now, got a lot of issues and things and what they have to deal with COVID and the separation and all that kind of stuff and social distancing and the restrictions they've got within that area. But West is going to be continue to take another step in the right direction.
And, congratulations to a young man, I think it's Fa'amoe, who committed to Oregon State. And so you've got a program that has been kind of in the depths of Utah high school football for a while and sending a young man to the Pac-12. Congratulations. It's a great step. And, I'm with you, Dusty. I think that program has a lot of potential for Coach Solovi in his second year. So the final one for me, all right, and I've already got my Region 2 thing done. I've got a soft heart for Region 2. It's been that way for a long time. Someone has to represent Region 2, Dusty. I already gave you the Granger one. Now let me talk about a team in Region 2 that I think could compete in 2020, and that's the West Jordan Jaguars. Yeah, Farmer back at quarterback, Baldwin on the outside. They were both sophomores last year. How about this? From a sophomore quarterback, Farmer threw for 1,600 yards, had 14 touchdowns, just 3 interceptions. A young man who takes care of the rock. West Jordan had a new staff last year. This is the second year in a Region 2 that we talk about Kearns. Kearns is the cream of the crop. But Hunter, they graduated Cash. They got some good position players coming back. But there's a lot of change in that region from last year to this year. I think West Jordan could be a real sneaky team in Region 2.
All right. You always talk about Region 2. I'm Region 4. We know this. And you already stole the last team we can talk about. But I'm going to go here because if it's not Region 4, then I'll go Region 3. And but it's year 2. Year 2 for Coach Mike Mayfu. And he's got 10 starters coming back. And could be it's really tough. And I already know I mentioned Riverton. So how many wins do they actually get within region? Who knows? But a team in an RPI system that gets them into the state tournament, could they win a state tournament game? Just got to stay out of the bottom and stay away from the top 5. You do that, and you might have a chance to sneak on somebody. But I just want to give a highlight here because anytime you're coming back, returning 10 guys, year 2, Mayfield, we know what he was trying to build at West Jordan. He had his opportunities in years, and there's a reason why he's at Mountain Ridge. This would be a lot of fun to watch where it goes. And when you talk about it, it's all about quarterback. Aiden Helm has got to take care of the football and get it out to Day, Colomir, and others. And then that offensive line. I know he highlighted all 5 guys to Brandon Gurney in his article. So it's going to be very interesting to watch what happens at Mountain Ridge, one of the new schools. Want to give them a little bit of love of teams to watch because we know last year it was a little difficult for the Sentinels.
Yeah, I mean, Dusty, that was a team that I thought long and hard about including in mine. You know what it seems familiar? It sounds very familiar to me of Farmington. Now, I'm not saying they win 9 games, but you talk about all the returning starters, foundation built first year. I'm with you. Watch out for the Sentinels. Absolutely.
Well, folks, there's 10 teams, 11 teams. You count Dane's additional, but we had a couple of same lapsies. But so look out for it. We got you primed and ready for the football season. Let's get it started. Be smart. Wear your mask. Follow the rules. For heaven's sakes, I've talked about it before. I'm on your side. I understand. I've struggled with a lot of things, but we want football to happen. We want the season to continue. we keep our distance, we do those things we need to do, I think the season will continue to go. We've seen those numbers drop as we really focused on it. We'll watch it go down. Our season will happen. We're excited for it. For Vince Francis and Dane Stewart, I'm Dusty Lister. Thanks for joining us. And go support those that support us. Go support Heidemann Associates, the Utah Army National Guard, and, of course, our new friends at Black Clover.